Hey everyone, welcome back. Hope you guys had a great week. It's Friday Eve right now. It's actually like 8 o'clock right now that I'm recording this. I was doing a lot of the number crunching here for basically the March production updates for all of the miners. We're going to do a comparison on those, but that's coming in another video. And then I've also done the quarter Q4 numbers. I waited long enough for everybody to report. There's only, I think, 2 companies that didn't report. So we'll get through that in another video as well. But that's kind of the way I spend my day today. But we are going to talk about, obviously, the miners, how they did today in the markets, along with Bitcoin and Ethereum. Those were both up. They are down a little bit right now, it looks like. But they were up today, and we'll take a look at what's going on there. Majority of the miners were actually up today, so that was pretty good. Most of them had a pretty great week. We'll get into that video in tomorrow's video. On that one, we'll see how they did compared to Bitcoin, and a lot of them have done a lot better, so that's good there. We have a couple of stories to talk about today, though. We have Bitcoin miner Bitdeer stock slumps nearly 30% at the trading debut, so we'll talk about that one. On this one, let me know if you guys want me to cover this. The only caveat to that is they have to provide their monthly production updates. If they don't, I'm not going to be able to cover them, okay? So that's one caveat. We'll see if they provide those or if they have been providing those. And then we also have one other story to talk about, which is Sweden drives final nail into Bitcoin mining industry with tax hike. There's one company that this could possibly affect, but there might be a way out for them as well. So we'll take a look at that. And then we also have right now, we're going to take a look at Hut 8, previous all-time high. Also, can it be reached again? What will it take to get there? And this one was actually kind of interesting to the numbers that came up. So we'll get into all that. But as always, you guys know the drill here, not financial advice, for entertainment only. Do your own research. I'm investing in fine coins and companies for full disclosure. And if you enjoy this type of content, hit the like button and subscribe. Helps me out tremendously. Okay, let's get into the markets here really quick, and then we'll get into all the other stuff that we have to talk about. Okay, so S&P was up today, down today, 0.21% to 4137. Dow Jones was down 0.42 to 33,886. NASDAQ was down 0.23% to 13,079. Bitcoin actually was up today. Let's take a look at the daily chart here really quick. And we can see here that it was up just slightly, 0.28% today. On the day, it closed at 30,492, which is still good. Right now, the RSI has come down a little bit here. Bitcoin price is higher actually than where it was before. So that's a good sign there going forward, at least for the time being. 4-hour chart shows the same thing, that the RSI has come down here quite nicely. Last time we were at this RSI level was back here on Sunday, looks like, of last week. And at that time, price was obviously below our 28,600 mark. And it was actually around 28,315 roughly. And we are higher in price right now. So that's still looking good right there. 1-hour chart, we're seeing the same type of thing. Whereas we are at 44 on the RSI right now. Last time we were right here on the RSI. Price was at 29,185, and we are still higher on that. So until we get a reversal on that, I think we're still possibly going to be going up higher. Hopefully not too much higher over the weekend, because we do have the CME futures. Don't want to have gaps in that, because that's not trading over the weekend. And we always seem to fill those gaps if those gaps do appear. So don't want those happening, okay? So that's Bitcoin right there. Ethereum was up nicely today also. It was up today 4.36% to a close of 2,101. So a great day for Ethereum as well. And it's had a pretty nice run up here in the last 2 to 3 weeks or so. It's been doing pretty good here. You can see that the RSI has been kind of flat, but price has been going up nicely, which is a good sign as well. On that one, 4-hour chart RSI has come down a little bit here, and you can see that the price is higher from the last time the RSI was at this point. So that's good there. And then 1-hour chart, we can see the same thing here. RSI is actually at 50. Last time we were right around here. Price is now higher than that, so we're still having the same kind of effect as Bitcoin is. Okay, miners now. Miners have had a pretty good day today for the most part. There were a couple that were down, but it wasn't too bad. Annie was up 7.56% to 43 cents. Argo was down 4.15% to $1.50. BitDigital was up 3.16% to $1.96. Bitfarms was basically flat today, $1.25. Cypher had a great day again today, 9.81% today to $2.81. CleanSpark, continuation of their kind of bull run that they're on right now, and they were up 4.82% to a close of $4.13. You can see here that they've had a really nice run up here, and they've actually kind of surpassed their previous little high points here that they've had. So they are currently doing pretty good with the high of $4.34. We'll see if they can continue on into next week. I think it might be able to. Cores was up 1.84% to 46 cents as well. DigiHost was up 2.7% to $1.90. DMG was down 2.87% to 24 cents. Greenwich was up 6.97% to 68 cents. They've had a couple nice days as well of going back up. Hive was up just 1% to $4.05. Hive has been doing pretty well here also in the last 2 to 3 weeks, been going up constantly. They are kind of battling here, it looks like, with this maybe possible top here, right around the $4.25, 28 cents, somewhere around there. It's getting some resistance right around there. We'll see if we can break through that. Hut 8 also was down today, 2.74% to $2.13. Hive also has not provided their monthly production update for March yet, which is a little concerning. Usually they're within a couple of days of the new month providing those updates. So this is a little concerning here for them. They haven't provided it. Iris is up 7.62% to $4.52. Marathon was up 3.91% to $11.97. Mawson was up 2.81% to $3.29. Riot was down 0.15% to $13.48. Soluna was down 2.3% to 25 cents. Stronghold was up today 2.47% to 99 cents. They've had a nice run up here as well. They've kind of blown past the previous little peaks that they've had as well. And they're kind of battling right now at this dollar range here, looks like. Wolf was down 5.26% today to $1.44. And that's it. Like I said, the miners were a little bit mixed today. We'll see how next week is. But overall, they've had a really good week here against Bitcoin, I think. Like I said, we'll take a look at that video possibly tomorrow. And let's take a look at the network hash rate here really quick, see what's going on there. And we can see that the network hash rate has come down a little bit to 344 million terahashes on the 7-day average. 1-day average is down as well a little bit here to 333 million terahashes right now. So still heading upwards overall. So let's take a look at some stories that we do have. The first one we'll get into is the new public Bitcoin miner, which is Bitdeer. So the stock actually slumped today nearly 30% at trading debut. They did come up priced a little high, I believe, and this is possibly why. Plus, you have people just selling it as it's becoming available to them. So here's a story. Bitcoin miner Bitdeer listed Friday on the NASDAQ after several delays to lukewarm reception. Shares of the miner under the ticker BTDR lost almost 30% in their value, trading around $6.81 at the time of this publication. When was this published? This was published right around 8:40. Updated 116. I wonder if it's changed at all, but let's take a look at BTDR really quick while we're at it. See where they ended up here on the day. So if we search for it, I forgot to do this earlier on. Let me see here. BTDR. Blue Safari Group Acquisition Group. So that's part of that. Let's take a look at it. Where is it at here? BTDR. Yeah, so it closed down pretty much 30% on the day, it looks like, right now. Okay, so we'll see where it goes. It did hit a high of $14.75, and this was on the daily right before. It looks like it went public, and then it just definitely crashed here quite a bit here. So quite a big swing there, almost 50% drop in it. Okay, let's take a look, see what it's all about. So let me see, do I have this right? Yep. The Singapore, excuse me, the Singapore-based firm is one of the largest miners in the world. It shows in March prospectus filed with the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission. It has 6 mining sites across Washington State, Texas, Tennessee, and Norway, with a total energy capacity of 775 megawatts. As of the end of 2022, about 200 megawatt less than what it had estimated in February of 2022. Its hash rate or computing power at the end of January stood at a total of 16.2 exahash per second, second only to bankrupt Core Scientific and higher than Riot Platforms and Marathon Digital Holdings right now. But a lot of theirs is hosting for other customers. So here's the details on that. About a quarter of that is used for self-mining, meaning it keeps the Bitcoin rewards, whereas the rest is given out for cloud mining, meaning customers rented machines and reap the rewards. So hopefully they have better margins than Core had or some of these other guys. Usually the margins are pretty slim on that, about 10 to 15%. If they can get better margins than that, that would be great. Maybe we'll do a deep dive on them, see where they stand, but definitely need to see if they are providing monthly production updates. And let me know if you guys are interested in them as well. Okay, so about a quarter of that would be about 4 exahashes for their own mining right now, which isn't much, 4.05 it looks like it would be. So that would bring them towards, well, for the self-mining, would be being kind of in line with maybe Cypher, TeraWolf, definitely bigger than well, right around Bitfarms too. Bitfarms is right around that range as well, but we'll see. Okay. So Bitdeer was born out of the world's largest rig manufacturer, Bitmain. You know Bitmain has the S19 miners, all of those. After a spat between the two co-founders, one of them left and took Bitdeer, another cloud mining firm also affiliated with Bitmain, Bitfufu. is also in the process of going public via SPAC, but has delayed the listing. SPACs haven't done that well in the basically the last year or so. We've seen a number of SPACs that have gone south on them. So it's been unfortunate. I don't know why they don't go with just regular listing, but I'll have to do some more research on that one. Bitdeer's financial performance, as with other Bitcoin miners, deteriorated in 2022 in part due to worsening market conditions. The firm reported revenue of $330.3 million and a loss of $62.4 million for 2022, which is kind of in line with what we've seen in 2022. A lot of the miners were losing money at that point because Bitcoin was going south and revenues were going south, but they still had the same overhead and everything else that they had to pay for. And then they also took a lot of losses on depreciation, goodwill, all that stuff. So compared to with $394.7 million in revenue and profit of $82.6 million the year before, according to the prospectus filing, the miner is going public at a better time than last year as market conditions have improved, which they have, with Bitcoin passing the 30,000 mark and mining equities in many cases outperforming the digital assets in percentage growth, which is also true. But here's a good point here. In the future, the market will begin to shift from not only focusing on operators with the biggest scale, but also operators with the best unit economics. So we're looking at BTC efficiency, right? How many BTCs they're able to mine with the hash rate that they have on a monthly basis, other things like that, their cost, everything else. That is definitely going to have, I think, an impact on which miners end up doing really well going forward. Okay, so let me know if you guys are interested in Bitdeer. Like I said, we'll do some more research into them as far as do they provide monthly production updates, and if they do, then we can possibly get them in here as well and see where they stand. But the only thing that I don't like really with them is 75% of their, hash rate is basically hosted instead of self-mining. I really like companies that do a lot of their own self-mining. Okay, next is a story that we have here from Sweden. So Sweden drives final nail into Bitcoin's mining industry with tax hike. They're increasing it by 6,000%. Taxes per kilowatt hour of energy may ultimately destroy the industry in the country. So this is definitely a bad thing. 6,000% is definitely a big spike here. But what does it actually entail? So here's what it entails. Energy prices started to normalize in 2023, but the upcoming tax will likely stop any new investment in Sweden, which is currently home to about 150 megawatts of mining, which isn't a lot. The tax will increase from the SEK 0.006 to SEK 0.36. So you can see how that 6,000% is definitely having a huge impact there, which equates to about 3.5 cents per kilowatt hour. That's a big increase. And it's starting in July of this year, according to the financial budget published in November of 2022. Based on the average electricity prices last year, the tax hike could bring the all-in energy cost to 9.3 cents per kilowatt hour, basically, said Jaron Melrud, senior analyst at the mining services firm Luxor Technologies. A micro BTC What's Miner M30s, a moderately efficient and commonly used machine, would be at break-even point given current market conditions, he said. You would really need to have better miners like the M50s now, I think they got, which are more efficient. Those, you still might be profitable with them. I think you should be profitable with those. We'd have to probably do some numbers on it, my calculation sheet, to see where those things would stack up. But the newer miners should be profitable right now. And then here's the concerning part of it, right? Hive Blockchain, which is one of the ones that we covered, they haven't provided their production update yet for March. I don't know if this has an impact on them, why they haven't reported. Maybe they're dealing with this more than they are with providing the updates. This could be the possibility. So Hive Blockchain, a Canadian-based miner with 25% of its energy capacity in Sweden, as of the end of 2022, declined to comment on this story. CoinDesk couldn't find an instance where Hive disclosed the tax hike explicitly in any of its filings. The firm has discussed its disagreement with Swedish tax authorities over 32.4 million and VAT that it thinks it should recover. We'll see if that ever happens or not. And here's the interesting part. So looking for ways out. Many miners are looking to diversify elsewhere as the new tax will drastically reduce their profitability, said Enerhash CEO Daniel Jog, who operates a site in Sweden. The tax also requires companies to pay in advance for a few months, which creates some serious cash constraints at a difficult time for the industry, he said, which is true. If you got to pay a few months in advance on 3.6 cents, that's going to add up quickly, depending how much you have in there. Some miners could try to get through the tax hike by switching to self-mining instead of hosting other machines, said Rusinovich. Hive doesn't do that. Hive has their own miners there. They don't do any hosting for that, I don't think, unless they're doing hosting for the GPUs that they have, which they don't really do hosting with it. It's just high computing for that. That might be an issue there for them. We'll see how that gets played out. And then others are looking at ways to get around the tax. Others are looking at ways to get around the tax by reusing the heat produced in the data centers, such as that they are taxed as heat producers, Melroots said. So Hive has been saying that they have been working with a greenhouse, I believe, that they're going to be building next door to one of their facilities there that would give the heat from the facility over to the greenhouse, which I think is going to be growing like tomatoes or something like that. So they might be having a way to get around this potentially. We'll have to get some more details from Hive if this is the case or not, but right now it's kind of an unknown. And I think they need to definitely put out a press release saying, here's what we're doing, here's how we're going to be able to continue operating in that facility, in that jurisdiction as well. But right now, anybody that's not doing anything that's to do with heat may be in trouble. Okay, so that's it for that one. And I think that's it for that one. Yep. Okay, so that's it we got. Let's take a look at Hut 8 here as well, and then we'll call it a day. So Hut 8, we've done this for Bitfarms, CleanSpark, Marathon, Riot, for all these. So we got Hut 8 now that we're going to do, and we have Hive as well, which we're mining before the previous bull run. So this kind of helps us out a little bit as well to take a look back where they were, previous highs, things like that. And this will be, well, Hut 8 and Hive, and we'll be done with it, as I think. Okay, so let's take a look at what the numbers that we do have for them, the metrics, and that we're going to use. And we should be done with this pretty quickly here, okay? So the numbers here, as far as the dates are concerned, are pretty much going to be the same. Right around November 8th, 9th, somewhere around there, a lot of these miners peaked. I think the only one that was the exception to this was Riot, right? I think peaked in February of 2021, which was kind of strange compared to the other miners, but that's when they kind of peaked. So here's what we got for Hut 8. On November of 2021, they had a market cap of 2.28 billion right there. Stock price at the close for that day was $15.90. At that time, they had shares of 143.89 million, and that's just taking the stock price divided by the market cap. That's how we get the shares. And then BTC price at that point was 67,782. Going to the present now, on the 13th, which was yesterday, they had a market cap of 483.613 million. Stock price was $2.19. Shares calculated based on that was 220 million and change in that. And the Bitcoin price was at 30,402. Okay. Market cap difference between those two dates was negative 1.48, negative 1.804 billion on that one. And it was a decrease of 78.8%. Stock price was down $13.71. And down 86.2%. Shares increased by 76.928 million, but in that time frame. So basically, we had what, a year and a half roughly. So every third, we're looking at like 20 some. Every 1/3 of that would be 20 some million in share dilution, and that's 53.4% increase, quite a bit there. And the Bitcoin price is down 36,554 and down 54% from that point as well. Okay, so that's kind of the numbers that we're dealing with here. So this is, let me see, did I miss something? I missed something. Then and now, nope, I didn't miss anything. Okay, so then and now, here's what we're looking at. Back then, they were mining 274 Bitcoins as was, and petahash, or 1.7 exahash at that point. BTC price, like I said, was 67,920. The only reason I added HODL to them, which I didn't add to the other ones, is because I got the same future PE, well, pretty close to it back then as I do now. So I was trying to see if that made any difference or not, and I couldn't figure out if that was the case. It doesn't look like it, but I just put it in there just to kind of see, did that really make a difference? I mean, back then, they had 498 Bitcoin HODLed roughly. That was valued at about 338 million. Right now, they have about 9,113. That's valued at 277. Pretty close to where we are, about $60 million off. Not a big deal, but we have a much bigger change in market cap as it is right now. So that shouldn't be the contributing factor to that. At least doesn't look like it. Okay, revenue at that time was about 18.6 million based on 274 Bitcoin mined. That equated to about 0.129 per share in revenue. Forward PE, we're doing the monthly revenue times 12 months, dividing it by the current market cap. That's where we're getting the forward PE multiple, which was 10.25. Then when we go to present day, yesterday, it looks like they reported for 131 Bitcoins mined in March. That's kind of what we're using the numbers with. Petahash is at exahash, 2.59 exahash right now. Bitcoin price, 30,402. HODL, like I talked about, revenue is way down here to only almost 4 million, 3.9 million. And then we're still getting the same forward PE, which was strange because if we look at some of the other miners here, we can see that they had big swings in them. So this is from Marathon. Marathon, you can see it was 19.83 at its peak back in 21. Now it's only at 4.81. We look at Riot as well. Riot had a bigger gap or a bigger difference between the two. In February of 2021, it was getting a 46.95 forward PE, whereas just recently last week, it was getting only a 6.54, right? We're having that huge swing there, whereas we're not seeing that happening right now in HUT, which is kind of strange. So I'm kind of like, are they just overpriced right now? Are they overvalued by investors? And that might be the case. I don't know what this actually means, but it is kind of strange that a lot of the companies were priced, or forward PE was a lot lower or higher and then lower than what we're seeing here right now with HUT 8, right? So they're definitely getting a lot better value from investors than some of the other miners are right now, okay? That's kind of what it tells me. So to reach the previous all-time high market cap, we would need to get to the 2.288 billion market cap. That would be, we're adding 30 million shares. This is basically looking forward into next year, right after the halving event. So they would have about 250 million shares potentially. Might be more than that. I'm being a little bit conservative here, but we need to get the stock price to about $9.12. They are right now at, let's see, where's HUT 8? HUT 8 is right now at $2.13. So definitely have a long ways to go there, about a 4x potentially from where they are right now. Next, let's take a look at the next slide. BTC rewards, this is kind of what I'm looking at after the halving event. Now, there are some unknowns with them as far as USBTC merger, how that's going to play out, if it plays out. With these assumptions that I'm doing here, I'm guessing that that's going to go through. Okay, so with all of that USBTC brings to the table, along with what they have right now, I'm guessing they're going to be about maybe 400 Bitcoin production by the halving next year, which is going to be right around this time frame. So if that's the case, we're looking at about 200 Bitcoins that they're going to get after the halving. That's kind of what we're looking at, okay? So there's a lot of assumptions to this we have to put in because we really don't know what's going to happen with USBTC, with their other facility that they are moving miners out of. Can they find a facility to put those miners into? There's a lot of unknowns, so we're kind of guessing on them a little bit here, okay? Just for clarification. So Petahash, I'm guessing they're going to be at about 5.5 exahash at that time frame, maybe with USBTC coming on board and everything else. That's kind of my guess here. In order for them to get to the same 2.28 billion market cap, Bitcoin price would have to be at 94,000 at that time, which would give them about 19 million in revenue. Stock price would be around $9 and something in change for that. Right? In order for them to get to their previous all-time share price of $15.95, Bitcoin at that point would have to be at 165,000. They would have 33 million in revenue based on the 200 Bitcoin being mined a month, and they would have a market cap of about 4 billion at that time. Right, now we're using that 10.12 multiple, which was from right here, the lower one, which is the current one. Usually this is even lower for a lot of the other miners. Okay, so that's that one. Then if we use the higher multiple that they got back in November of 2021, we would see that Bitcoin price would need to be about $93,000 per Bitcoin to get to the 2.288 million market cap. Stock price would be around $9.12. Now if Bitcoin goes up to 163,000, they would get back up to the $15.90 some cents change of stock price at that point. They would have a market cap of about 4 billion at that point as well. And if Bitcoin goes up to 190,000 potentially, well, then they would have a 4.6 billion market cap and stock would be at $18.63. The tough part for them is since their forward PE is so close to where it was for their all-time high, it's like, do I give them the benefit of the doubt that they could possibly get a 15 forward PE? Or 10, or do we go lower? I think based on what I'm seeing now with them getting a pretty even forward PE from just a year and a half ago to now, my guess is that might fetch a little bit of a premium here. So I'm going with a forward PE of 15 here after the halving event. You guys let me know what you guys think of that. Do you guys think that's fair, or do you think it should be right around the 10 mark? I'm giving you guys basically, well, 3 versions of where it could be. Okay, so now we're looking at the same data here, 200 Bitcoins per month, 5.5 exahash right now. And we're looking at, to get to that with a 4P of 15, the stock price or a Bitcoin price would have to be at 63,500 in order for them to get to that 2.28 billion market cap. And at $100,000, they would get to that, well, it should have been, well, at $100,000 per Bitcoin, they get to 14.35, which is pretty close to that $15 that they were at. But that would give them a 3.6 billion market cap at there. And then Bitcoin at 150,000 would give them 5.4 billion market cap with $21.53 in stock price, which right now would be basically a 10x for them, pretty close to it as it is. So as you can see here, this is a little bit challenging with them based on the 4PE being the same or pretty close to being where it was at the highs and where it is right now. Based on that, let me know what you guys think of this. Obviously, conclusions are there's a lot of unknowns with them. Like I said, we don't know if the USBTC merger is going to go through. If it does go through, we don't know a lot of details on USBTC. Also, they have sites where they do self-mining. They do sites where they have also hosting. Then they also do some other services as well. So it's a little bit challenging, more challenging than it is with some of the other miners as well. Okay. So that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, hit the like button, subscribe, helps me out before I lose my voice here. And like I said, we'll have some more videos for you guys coming up later on this weekend. It should be kind of interesting to take a look at the monthly production updates for the miners, see how they all stacked up against each other, and then the quarterly for Q4 with the miners that we do have that provide that information as well. Okay, so as always, hit the like button, subscribe, helps me out, and I'll see you guys in the next one. All right, have a great night, have a great weekend. I'll see you.